Hey, it's Tim from ChiroUp, and I have a distinct privilege today that I'm in Indianapolis for the Combine, and I'm with Dr. Bagy, Dr. H. And you may not know him, but a lot of people do know him because he's the chiropractor for the Washington Redskins, the Washington Nationals, and DC United. Big deal. Dr. Bagy has had some high-profile players, and some of those players have impacted our lives because they've seen great stories in the media. So I wanted to get a quick word with Dr. Bagy while he's here, Dr. H, as to what can we do to migrate into the level of chiropractor that you've become and have earned the right to treat those professional athletes.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to talk with you today. Sports chiropractic has evolved a lot. When I started 20 some years ago, it was an ongoing learning process, and we had to be pioneers in that learning and teaching and taking care of the athletes.
So how did you initially get into it? What was the first team that you started working with?
I started with DC United about a year and a half after the league started. I was practicing in the town where they were also practicing. I'm a huge soccer fan, so I went over there as a little bit of a fan and very interested in introducing sports chiropractic to them.
And then from there grew into
and from then I started working with them as their team chiropractor. We won a championship. DC United has 4, so we won a championship in '99 and then in 2004. And so it was an honor to be a part of those teams. And then a few years later, it was probably about 8 or 9 years being with DC United solely, I was introduced to the Redskins as they were looking for a team chiropractor, partially from the players working with, and also with the support of the orthopedic groups that I was working with, and especially the orthopedists for the Redskins that I knew.
So after that, you began working with other championship teams too.
Yes.
One who's the most recent championships. What was that experience like being part of the World Series?
It was fantastic. At that same year that I started working with the Redskins, I was offered the job with the Washington Nationals, again through some of the players that I've worked with and the introduction that they made. And I was never a big baseball guy for sports-wise. I was a soccer football guy, but I'm loving baseball, and obviously I'm loving it even more since we won the World Series this past year. And I can't tell you what an amazing experience that was, being in the trenches with them, being part of the team as we went through the postseason at every game, at every practice. So it was a true honor, and I hope it's not once in a lifetime, but it was a once in a lifetime experience.
What are the, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
What are the differences in working with those teams, soccer versus football, baseball? What do you see differences in athletes, injuries?
I love that question, and I've had the pleasure of working in those different sports, and each athlete from different sports presents with different issues. But ultimately, I look at the athlete in a biomechanical way as I see him in every team. So with soccer, we look at the biomechanics. They're going to have more lower body issues. They're going to have more of the strain on the lower body. With football, it's everything, right? It's a traumatic experience. Multiple car crashes, as they say, per game. But at the end of the day, we see those athletes. I see those athletes in the same way. We want to make sure not only are they recovering, but they're biomechanically moving well, and that they're performing at their peak. So those 3 factors fit within all the teams. With baseball, as I pretty much, once I ended up in baseball, I had to bring in my knowledge of soccer on the lower body and try to learn how does the upper body work in conjunction with the lower body. As you were so eloquently talking today, the shoulder, how does the shoulder incorporate to the lower body, to the torso, to the leg, to the foot, to the stance? And so bringing those parts together has been wonderful, because now I can apply those in each sport.
What advice would you give us, those of us who would love to work with a team? Is there any other chiropractor that has 3 professional teams under their belt? I don't think so. So thanks for taking time.
Of course.
I think you're a pretty busy guy.
Of course.
What advice could you give us that would love to work with a team someday? What about the students, the chiropractors who say, I'd like to be in that position?
I've been speaking with a lot of the students, and I love this Professional Football Chiropractic Society event because you really get to talk to the students, and they're very excited. They're very engaged in becoming more active in the sports world. And I was fortunate that right as I graduated, I was working with a team like DC United, and I was able to learn with them as the team grew, as the league grew, and as I grew with them. So my best advice, and I was talking to one of our doctors-to-be earlier, try to work with as many athletes, and they don't have to be professional at all times. So in baseball, I encourage the minor league teams would love to have you work with them and learn with them and grow with them. There's so many non-professional athletes that would not only help them but help the doctor learn and hone their skills and also learn what it is to be a complete doctor, a biomechanical performance type of doctor as opposed to just the injury part.
I think you nailed a critical component here, that in the privilege of talking to a lot of people this weekend and other friends who have worked in the field, a lot of times they'll say, part of it was luck. I was in the right place at the right time.
Right, yeah.
And it's kind of like a professional athlete saying, I got lucky to get on this team.
Yes.
None of them got lucky to get on the team, and you as a team chiropractor for 3 sports didn't get lucky. And I've heard you talk here now, and you're talking about learning and how to advance your skills.
Sure.
And I think that's the biggest thing that I can take from this, is that there's no luck involved in this process. There is a matter of deciding that you're going to be a professional in the same way that the professional baseball player, football player busted their can so that every minute they got better and better. They started with high school teams like you did.
Right.
They moved to college teams like you did. They moved to minor league and then to pros. They didn't jump right into it. So they were patient, they had a long-term vision, and they made sure that they were going to be not just a chiropractor or a player, they were going to be the best player, the best chiropractor. And so thank you for being a role model as the best chiropractor. We're proud to have you. I know that you've sent a lot of patients. You personally sent patients to my office through the great things in the media that came out with the World Series and otherwise. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for being an inspiration to all of us here, and best of luck with your teams in Washington.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.